معرفة.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now let us discuss about the conditions of zakat. And to start with, let us talk about the absolute possession. So the wealth category on which zakat is to be paid, that wealth needs to be in proper and absolute possession and ownership of an individual or a corporate who is paying zakat on that wealth category. So this is an important point. The idea being that the person or a corporate which is paying zakat needs to own the wealth category properly. It needs to have possession over that asset or a wealth category, so that it becomes necessary. So, and only then it is obligated to pay zakat on that. The second very important point is with reference to nisab. Nisab is basically a measuring scale, a benchmark. It basically tells a person whether the wealth category has become subject to zakat. What it means is that if a person is paying zakat, that minimum level is currently being taken as the value of 85 grams of pure gold. So if you have cash and you want to pay zakat on the cash, it needs to be seen that is that value of cash which you have is more than the value of 85 grams of pure gold. If that is the case, then you become obligated to pay zakat on that. So nisab is a very important measuring tool to conclude whether zakat needs to be paid on an asset or not. And another important point with reference to conditions of zakat is expiry of 1 year, which is called as haul. What it means is that there has to be 1 year passed in terms of ownership and possession of the wealth category by an individual or a corporate, so that it becomes obligated to pay charity, so that it becomes obligated to pay zakat on that wealth category. So now generally the lunar calendar is used. So if lunar calendar is used, the value or the rate at which zakat needs to be paid is 2.5%. But if solar calendar is used, then the value which needs to be paid or the rate is 2.577. The difference or the increase is only because the number of days in a solar calendar are more than the number of days in a lunar calendar. So that is the reason. So if you are using solar calendar to calculate your zakat, then you have to use the rate which is 2.577%. But if you're using a lunar calendar, so what it means is that the wealth needs to be in the possession of the person for at least 1 year, and only after that the person can pay zakat. At times it becomes difficult for a person to track the passage of 1 year. So in that case, what scholars advise is that whenever a person is calculating zakat on his or her wealth, whatever at that point in time he has, on that he can pay zakat, even though some of the wealth categories may not pass the 1 year period of possession. There's one important point which we have to keep in mind with reference to the expiry of 1 year. The expiry of 1 year is not relevant to minerals, agricultural produce and treasures. So what it means is that whenever there is an agricultural produce, or whenever there are minerals extracted, or whenever there is a treasures found, at that point itself zakat needs to be paid immediately. You don't have to wait for the expiry of 1 year. But on the other categories of wealth, 1 year needs to be passed. But as I said again, if a person wants to pay before the passage of 1 year, even that is allowed by the scholars. With respect to the wealth exceeding basic conditions, what it means is that the wealth which is in personal possession and in personal use, on that wealth zakat should not be paid. So if you have a house which is of your personal use, if you have your other personal possessions, on those possessions zakat should not be paid.